Welcome to our second edition of Tico Tuned In. I am Cici Rojas, your host, and am joined by Lydia Knopp, our producer and co-host. Tuned In is a platform that allows us to explore a diversity of issues and unlock the expertise of many individuals working on interesting projects and to focus on the topics that are happening in our city. These discussions are curated in real time, covering information for what's ahead. To kick off our second edition, we have Petrina Parker, Public Information Officer for the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority in Kansas City, Missouri. In her role as PIO with KCAT, she's responsible for media relations, internal and external communications, and has worked on several high-profile campaigns, including the push for zero fare, the Super Bowl Champions Parade Prep, and the Prospect Max BRT launch. Today, we are going to talk with Petrina about sincerity in messaging to your audience. And I will turn it over to Lydia to get us started.
Welcome, Petrina.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi. We've worked with you in multiple different roles throughout your career, but in reading your extended bio, you have extensive experience in TV, politics, government. Can you just walk us through that a little bit and sort of how you got to the place you are today?
Sure. So I started out my career in the TV news business as a TV news producer. And one of the reasons why I did that is because I felt like I should be a gatekeeper for information in my community to make sure that the stories that are going out about my community are not misrepresentative of what my community is. And the people that I love and the people that I'm around every day. So I said, instead of being in front of the camera, which I originally went to college, I thought I was going to be Oprah, in front of the camera, a reporter and all of that. But there was an incident where I learned that really the most powerful people are the people behind the scenes who are the producers, who are deciding what gets to make air and in what order that it does. So I shifted, and so I wanted to be a TV news producer. So I did that for about 10 years in Florida and Michigan. And then I came to Kansas City and I worked at a couple stations here in Kansas City. Eventually that just really wasn't conducive to me building a family and my family life. Kind of got a little burnt out with, a lot of the bad news and kind of becoming hardened to some of the sensitive issues, like the crime and the murders, and it just somehow I just shifted to where I was becoming hardened to seeing the news every day, and it wasn't really caring. It was just putting the news out there. So decided to go back to school, get my master's degree in public administration. From there, I immediately went to work for a local elected official. And that's when I really learned how city government works, the relationships that are built there, how people get things done, and how communication really helps to get messaging out. And I worked in the 3rd district. So I was really baptized in a lot of community issues. And really the people taught me a lot about how to communicate with them, what their needs are, and, what kind of services that they want to get and how they want to be, treated. From there, I worked in city government or for the city for a few years. And because I've always wanted to be a storyteller and I have a streak of creativity, I've always just found myself trying to do different projects that would allow me to use my creativity, tell stories, even if it was talking about how you get your trash picked up. I was going to tell that story. So went to the top of the trash heap and did a couple stories on how to, get what is involved in getting your trash picked up. Then I worked for city planning, public works for a little bit, and really just learned how city government works. How elected officials communicate with their constituents and how constituents can communicate to get things done and projects done. From there, I went into the role of public information officer. I worked with Tico a little bit on a couple of the projects that we were doing for city planning and development. And then I got a position as a PIO with KCAT. So it's been a journey. I've done a lot of different things, and they really have all just stacked up to help me in the position that I'm currently in. But I think the underlying theme in all of that is I was able to use creativity, my writing skills, even using some of my on-camera skills to really create messaging and to speak to people. So I think that's just been a theme that has gone throughout all my career.
Yeah, you're a communicator for sure.
Absolutely. And you have a diversity of experiences for sure. And I can relate to the storytelling piece. Oscar, my partner and husband, partner in the business and husband, worked in news for a very long time. And he felt the same way. While he enjoyed it, it was exciting to some degree, but it was also, disheartening after a while. I mean, all you do is cover negative news. And there's some positive things that you cover as well, but he wanted to, one of the reasons he started the business so that he would have greater control over the stories that he told and how we tell them, so that we can focus on the positive too. So definitely can relate to that. And so all that brings you to KCATA, and now you represent them as their PIO. And so how have your past experiences prepared you for this role? How do you listen and communicate to the broad ridership of RideKC today?
I would really say that my role working with the city, it allowed me to really understand the basics that people want. People want services. They pay taxes for services, and they want them, and they deserve them, and they deserve good quality services also. And if they're not getting those services, then they should be able to tell someone in a manner that gets some action done. So at KCATA, there's been a lot of like high profile things that our CEO has wanted to implement, and I find myself, when we have when the project is done and finished and it's great and it's wonderful for all of the people, and then we have the event that announces it, I find myself, when all the people have come together, knowing people that are on the elected official side, knowing people that are actually putting in the work, the maintenance workers, the city workers, all the people who are doing the actual work, the media, because it's my job to bring the media in. So all of the people are coming together, and I can pinpoint times in my career when I worked and I was a part of this team, I worked and I was a part of this team, I worked and I was a part of this team. So it's really just all of those experiences coming together, in my experience with the media, knowing what's going to draw them to come out to cover the event. Relationships with being in the, working with elected officials in the time that I was with the city, just knowing them and seeing them at different events. It's just all of it coming together at once. And sometimes I'm just like, wow, I remember when I was at the TV station and I was having a hard time and I was like, do I want to do this? Why am I continuing to do this? But now in this position, I can look back and say, well, those are the reasons why I had to go through those issues and things in those particular positions, because the hardships that I faced, the challenges that I had in those positions and was able to overcome. Now on this side, I can say, oh, that's small beans. This is going to work. This is going to happen. Oh, it's 5 minutes till it starts. Don't worry, they'll be here.
That's plenty of time.
Yeah. So I think it's all just led up to helping me in my position that I do right now.
The follow-up to that is, are there approaches to your work with the public that help you inform in a more sincere, outreach approach and to build a sincere relationship with your audiences?
I think really there's it's a cliche, I guess, or a quote that says, people don't care how much you know, they only care how much you care. I think that's how it goes. Mm-hmm. So the point is, do you care about someone? Before you come talk to me, are you actually caring about my issues? Or are you just coming because somebody said you have to go out to, you got to go out and talk to 5 bus riders? Are you just going to meet the quota, or do you actually care, and are you concerned about what I'm actually going to tell you, and are you going to take it back and try to make real change? And I think I learned that when I was working with the city council. It's that when people called, many times they would be irate when they first called, but if you just listen to them, you will see them start to calm down. when they understand that you understand their problem and that you want to get it taken care of as bad as they want it to get taken care of, and they can trust that you're going to take their words and take their problems back to the source and get it solved, that's the communication that makes people trust you, want to use your product, want to continue to use the services that you offer. And sometimes, like, there's social media. So social media is kind of the intermediary, or the mediary, however you say that word.
Mhm.
People use social media to communicate with somebody on the other side of the computer, but it's the same thing. They want to see results from that. And we have an excellent media person, social media person, and she's very good at responding to people and their concerns and their complaints. But sometimes, you know, if we put out a survey, there's another aspect of that is we're going to also go out in the community to these transit centers, to these bus stations, and ask people the same questions that they would access online. Because you're going to have a different population that's going to take an online survey than the people. You can't just say, oh, let's just do one method. You have to couple that with that face-to-face interaction. That lets people know you actually do care. And then when you get out there, you're going to do, listen, take the time to listen, do the introductory things that make them comfortable with you. I always joke, you know, I'm always out, I'm just joking around for the first 5 minutes, making them laugh. They're making me laugh. And then, okay, now we get down to business. So
humor is so helpful in that regard, and being a person around people, especially if there's a camera involved, because you are extremely natural in front of cameras. But yeah, sometimes you turn the record button on and it changes the whole, you know, authenticity of what you're looking for, the sound bite. And so yeah, I agree. It's about comfort and like listening first, which you do an excellent job of, Petrina. So
well, thanks. Well,
you've also been, you know, and it's cool to talk to you here in your not new, I guess you've been in this position for about 1.5 years, right? But to really like see the face of who's behind a lot of this, like, you know, media, like talking to the media and getting people out at these events. I mean, you represent a huge citywide, bi-state entity. And here you are, like your beautiful face is the one that's working, you know, with the team behind the scenes. So my question, or the next kind of segment, is you were in the media and now you work with the media, and it's, you know, I know there's a lot of organizations that try and pull teeth to get coverage. We've seen you at a lot of events where you pull like 3 channels to come out and cover, or, you know, have Robbie do an interview, Robbie McKinnon, who's fantastic. But how do you draw them out? I mean, what's the trick there?
So I'm not going to give you all my secrets.
But
There, I think a lot of it is the relationships that you establish. So I was in I worked for 6 years in the TV news business here. So a lot of reporters, a lot of desk editors. I know them because I worked with them. So there's some trust in those relationships already established. However, even if you have not been in the media business, that doesn't mean you can't establish those relationships also. You can call, you can get to know the desk editors, you can get to know reporters, you can follow them on their social media. You can also reach out with good, credible stories where it's not just, hey, come out and we're going to just be sitting around in a circle. You, as an agency organization, you have to be creative. You have to give them something to want to come to do. It's gotta pop on screen. If you're gonna give them an interview, it's gotta be someone who's gonna, you know, give some good sound bites, good short sound bites. And I work for, you know, our CEO. He is amazing on camera. He's gonna give you good sound bites. He's gonna draw you in. He's just,
he might surprise you sometimes
really
too.
Great. Yes. So he's just really great on camera. And so a lot of my coordination is not necessarily me being on camera, but it's making sure that Robbie's there, making sure that Robbie gets to talk to the media. And when I'm calling and I'm saying, hey, we're having an event, this is why it's important. You got to put that up there. You got to put that out front. You got to say it's going to be great for the kids. It's going to be kids out there. Love kids. kids, dogs, gonna be a lot of action, you know, and also finding the right reporter to cover the story. I know there are certain reporters that I call when it's a exciting, fun story, and then there's some that I need to call when it's, you know, more like in a more serious story. And that's throughout when I was working at planning and all the places where I've worked. So it's just really knowing the people in your community that represent the media and then reaching out to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The faces behind those organizations are almost like PIOs in their own right, to be able to, channel some of those stories too. So,
and they have to trust that you're going to give them a good story, because people don't want to waste their time. I mean, they're already short-staffed. They can't send a reporter to everything. They're mostly going to send a camera. So you have to make sure that it's worth their while, you know. We may have 3 stories in a week. I'm going to space out what I'm doing, and I'm probably going to only get a reporter for 1 story. So let me make sure I only call them to the best story for the reporter to come out. So it's just really knowing how they operate. And a lot of that's just the communication and relationship that you establish with them.
Right.
It's almost like you act as producer even before you're getting them to produce it for you. It's like pre-editing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which I have to be careful of, because I'm not, I don't work for them. So I have to be careful that I'm not like over there, hey, put this on there. I mean, they actually want to do their jobs. Like, they want to write the stories. I'm just on so I have to make sure I stay on the side that I'm on now and not be over there trying to be a producer. Yeah, exactly. Like, yes.
You know, KCATA has so many, you know, and obviously you do critical, you satisfy critical transportation needs, but I think I know you've been very proactive and pretty innovative, you know, as a public transportation institution. But so with all the kind of new things and innovative things that you've worked on, especially having a CEO like Robbie, who's always looking for new, looking to see how you can create a bigger impact. Do you have a favorite project or initiative that's been, really close to you, really close to your heart?
I would say that here at ATA, the thing that has been the most memorable for me is probably our launch of Prospect Max and the launch party that we had, which was the party on Prospectacular. The actual party and the planning and all of that was just an amazing effort, and I had a lot of help on that. But I was just very excited because I was able to really bringing the project home to the people on Prospect who bared with the agency as we did all that construction along the line. I mean, it was a $56 million project, I believe, injection of sidewalks, new transit stops. We did the honor plaque program along the route, the new vehicles, the new transit, the buses, the new vehicles, the MAX vehicles with the Wi-Fi enabled, and all these wonderful amenities that the transit stops offered in the buses. It was just really, really great. And I just thought, we just need to have a party and celebrate. And we had a lot of things against us. First of all, it's December. So who does a party in December?
Outdoor too.
Yeah. So we did an outdoor party in the parking lot, 31st and Prospect, the Sunfresh parking lot, everything just Prospect, all about Prospect. We had the band out there. We had the Marching Cobras come out because their founder, he said the first place he came when he came to the city from, was it Alabama? Where did he say, Lydia?
Arkansas.
Arkansas. Yeah. First place he came, first stop he got off of 71, he got on Prospect. And that's where this organization started. So we brought, and he'd done the organization for 50 years, the Marching Cobras. So we brought them back to Prospect for this event. They danced, people gathered all around. And yes, there were a lot of elected officials there, a lot of dignitaries there, but really it was for the people on Prospect. And I just thought it was just a really great event. There was food, there were things for the kids, there were giveaways. We had this really amazing band out there. So even after, the dignitaries left, people were out there dancing, just enjoying themselves, just a really positive event on Prospect. Yeah, we cut a rug out there a little bit. We did the bus stop.
That's awesome.
We did the bus stop for Prospect Max.
That's great.
It was a great event.
So it was lots of fun, and I really enjoyed putting that together. It was just great. One of the things for city planning, if I may go back to city planning, and
yes,
I worked with Tico on this also. So we did the City is Listening. And I'm Petrina Parker with the City Planning and Development Department. Basically talking about how we can make downtown better and how the city can play a role in making downtown better and listening to the people. We did some social media interaction and engagement with that. And it was just really like a massive project that we took on. We filmed it in Tico Studios, and it was really great. But the thing that I like most about it is getting out into the community and talking with families that were out there, the families that were going to be affected by the changes that the city made. And they all had basically the same common threads. They just want to have, you know, a good life for their children, good schools, play areas in the places where they lived. And so being able to tell their story, that's really storytelling, and being able to tell stories of people who can't, you know, tell the story themselves. So I really enjoy doing the City, and the City is Listening.
I'm going to ask you a follow-up question, and I'm just curious. So what's next for KCATA? I know you guys are always working on something. Is there anything you can share about what might be coming up?
So we are in the midst of the system redesign, and that was basically overall of the whole transit system, all the routes and everything.
Right.
We were in the midst of that before COVID hit. So, and there's some changes that are going to come with that. But I think the thing right out of the gate, once, you know, everything is back to whatever this new normal is going to be, is the RideKC Next, the system redesign. What that's going to look like is different than before the pandemic, but that's probably the first project that we'll be doing. And the system redesign is going to take a lot of community outreach, a lot of our social media outreach. So it will be still a large project that we have to do a lot of communication for. So I think that's really the next thing that we will be coming out of the gate with.
Excellent. Lydia?
Sounds huge. I can only imagine all of the things that are a part of that, but also really exciting for you guys and for the city. Yeah, that was good. Good times with you, Petrina. We go back. So I guess puppies. Taking it back, what's one thing you would tell yourself prior to starting your career that you had to learn along the way?
I thought about this one. I really had to think about this one a lot, because I was like, what? I don't know what I would tell myself, you know, like, get your money up. But no, that's not.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. But what I thought about that's most important is not to be afraid of the lateral move. Sometimes we get very caught up in, okay, I got to go up to the next ring on the ladder. I gotta keep going higher and higher and higher and higher. Well, there are times in my career where there was no higher. And the best option for me was to go lateral. Take the same pay, a different position with the same pay. But the experience that I was able to get and also create, because I had the opportunity and the time and the resources available, that lateral move was more important than the move that would have got more salary. So I would never be able to have made all these relationships with all these different populations in my career if my pathway was straight up. But because my pathway was to the side, I was able to pit stop, and meet different people and understand all of the processes except for the one process. So that's the thing I would encourage people. Don't be afraid. If it's something that, you know, it may not be a higher salary, but if it's a lateral position and they let you have creativity to do some of the ideas you wanted to do, and you have time to do the ideas that you've always wanted to do, and there's resources there. A lot of the stuff I did when I worked at Public Works, or I should probably not say departments, but a lot of the things that I did, I moved over and I was legit like had a master's degree and was like an administrative assistant. But what I did was I used the opportunity to do some on-camera work, tell some stories, start some newsletters, reach out to the community in whatever way that I could. So it was a lateral move. Pay was, I didn't drop in my pay, but still, I feel like it was more valuable for me to take those lateral moves than to just be trying to climb the ladder all the time, because the experiences, you really can't put a value on the experience in my case.
Right.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I've done that throughout my career too. I've taken, positions that were more lateral, even moved out of the market, which was tough, to leave your network behind and what you built. But ultimately, it gave me a versatility that, more of a utility player, kind of set of skills that, to your point, really helped with my career long term. But I'm gonna flip just a little bit. You've been involved in many civic activities, throughout your time in Kansas City, and part of it was work, and part of it was just because you wanted to and you care about something and you're passionate about it. And word on the street is that you're founding your own nonprofit. So, what do you enjoy most about your volunteer role?
So we are in the very, very early stages of the nonprofit right now. And there's no, but what I would like to say is that sports have really, and me playing sports have really, first of all, it allowed for me to go to college for free. So that's one thing. But
I didn't know that. So what did you do? What did you play?
I played Division I volleyball at Florida A&M University.
Oh my goodness, excellent.
Mm-hmm. So it has really just, me playing a sport, first of all, the things that it did for me self-esteem wise, and just knowing my worth, knowing, that I can accomplish something, that if I can face a challenge and get over the challenge. Those things have also helped me in my career. They helped me in school. But I understand now that I'm older, and I've coached, like, since I've been out of college. I've been coaching for, I don't know, I'm not going to say the number of years because that's a lot of years. I want you to think I'm young. But I've been coaching on and off these youth sports and girls in volleyball. And one thing that I understand is that there is a level of competition that many of our minority girls cannot afford to participate in. Everybody can play high school volleyball, and some of the schools are going to be better or and some are going to be worse. Some aren't going to have a lot of participation from the kids. But when you want to get to that level where you really want to get a college scholarship, get your school paid for, then you have to jump over to the club scene. I shouldn't say club scene, but the club environment. And club volleyball is very expensive.
It is.
Extremely. And so you will see where you'll see diversity in high school. When you get over to the club, that diversity has gone out the window because people can't afford to pay for it. Right. So my idea and what I intend to do is really just help people, financially assist them in being able to participate in that level of the sport. I'm going to start with volleyball, but then we'll probably branch out because my husband also coaches football. But that's where from the time I've been playing volleyball, it was expensive then. Thank God my grandmother scraped up some money, but it was like $125 when I played. Now it's $1,400 for like $1,400 maybe for like almost the lowest competition level.
Wow.
So people can't afford to pay that. And then you do the traveling. So anyway, long story short, I intend to assist and help people to get to that level. But other than that, my civic things that I've done is just helping kids, sports wise. I've been coaching, and I find that very very satisfying because I can see girls who are challenged at the beginning of the season overcome those challenges at the end of the season, things they never thought they can do, even as simple as like serving the ball over the net. Right. They get it done. That lets you know, even at a young age, hey, I can accomplish something. So I really I have a passion for it. And so I'm always coaching. I got my little girls out there And then in the middle of the season, I'm like, why am I doing this? Too much on my plate.
I know.
You know, the joy that the kids get, the excitement that it brings to them, the closeness that it brings to their families who can come out and cheer them on. It's worth it. It really, really is. And so I'm excited to be able to do it. And I'm ready to go to the next level of doing that.
Well, I grew up playing sports too, and I played volleyball through junior high and high school. I didn't go to college, so it wasn't near as good as you were, but I love the sport. It's been disheartening to see that club culture is taken over, the sport, which doesn't allow for a lot of minority participation. But so I'm really glad to see that you're taking that on, and hopefully we can talk offline about that and how we can potentially help you with your new effort. But
thank you.
And then I think my final question is, what is your favorite thing to do when no one is watching?
I think it's probably just like spending time with my kiddos.
Yeah, Petrina's got four kids.
Right? 4 girls.
You're busy.
4 baby girls.
4 girls. And then we have other kids, but they're in college right now, so they're not in the house. But yeah, so it's just spending time with the girls, watching them grow, watching them accomplish things, really wishing the best for them and their future. Right now we're just like in this climate of like, so much turmoil, and it's not even like COVID. That COVID is the top of the cake for it, but it's like there are other issues that I have to teach them and talk to them about.
Right.
And it gets disheartening, but to watch them and to have the natural joy that they have enjoying each other and enjoying themselves, that just really puts a smile on my face. So I'm just very interested in doing everything that I can to prepare them for the future financially, prepare them for the future as a minority in America, as a business owner in America, as a woman with a career in America. So there's a lot, that you have to do. But I'm up for the challenge. So I'm excited about the future for me and for my kids. And really, I'm excited about the future for America. I think tides are turning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People are able to communicate their problems, their issues. And so I think somebody's got to hear it.
Right.
Right.
And somebody's got to make a change. So I'm interested to see what that is.
And you're a change maker in your own right, Petrina. And so I know you're raising those girls to be powerful young women. And I'm sure there's not a lot of time that no one is watching you either. So that question probably a little harder to answer for you, but good to hear that you guys are doing okay during, work at home, school at home life. So is there anything else?
One thing I like to say is, I really enjoy, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on the show. I enjoy working with Tico because it is a family that there are some things I don't have to explain. When we go out and so Lydia and I have been on lots of different interview sets, interviewed a lot of different people, or they may just have to do filming the campus for us or filming B-roll for us. And I don't have to say, hey, make sure there's diversity in, what you're shooting.
Right.
Make sure there's not just all one type of people in there. Make sure that I don't have to say that. And I appreciate that because the time that I would have to spend explaining that, I could spend that on the creative product that's going to come out of that. So I really appreciate that about Tico. It's just they already understand, because it's a diverse company, they already understand how to communicate, not just with our populations, but with all populations, and it's just a really good working relationship. We can go out, we can joke with the interview subjects. They understand us, we understand them. And it's just really a good relationship. And I really enjoy working with people who get it.
Aww.
You just got to get it. I don't want to have to explain to you why we need to get this video of these, or certain populations.
Yeah.
Right.
You get it. So.
But we've lived it.
I enjoy that.
We've lived a lot of it. So, yeah.
Thanks, Petrina.
Yeah.
Well, this has been really awesome to hear from you in a space where it's not just about interviewing someone else, you know, because we've never really gotten to interview you before, Petrina. Although, you know, shameless plug, she is a great voiceover artist and producer herself.
So do we talk about my business?
Get a little plug at the end.
My little emerging business, essentially saying.
I don't know how you have time. How do you have 4 girls and own your own business and work a full-time job and volunteer and start a nonprofit? I mean, you're kind of a Wonder Woman. And maybe that's why it's so easy to work with you. Just like you get that part of life.
I just have ideas all the time and I'm like, I should do this. And then I start it and then I'm like, oh crap, I have to do this.
I have to finish this.
I do enjoy doing voiceovers because people have always told me, oh, you have a great voice, you have a great voice. And I've always hated my voice when I hear it back. But I got in a situation where I needed extra money and I couldn't sell multi-level marketing. I just didn't have the time to sell the kids. So I was like, I need a side job, a side hustle. And I was like, well, people always said it worked, so I'm going to try it. So I went about, you know, the correct way of, you know, getting an agent and just doing that way. Thankfully, I was able to land a couple jobs. So I have some stuff on my resume of being a professional voiceover artist. But as I started to think even broader than that, I said I need to really branch out and start this as a whole business. So I also added in, you know, like editing services, writing services, some media coaching. So all of those things are now under my wheelhouse. And that's at thepetrinaparker.com.
Okay.
But the business is called Essentially Saying. So I'm going to essentially say what you want to say, but you don't know how to put in words. So that's the story behind that. So
yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll put a little link in there, so just in case anybody needs it. But you know, your voice is all over the city, and your work is all over the city and the country, really. So having you on was really a treat today. So thank you, Petrina Parker, the Petrina Parker herself.
I gotcha. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you.